Ben and Candace, let me first start off by saying I am so happy the two of you guys are talking, as well as agreeing to do a sit down. Obviously, the detail is the challenge where we're going to figure out. Let me give you a couple things I want you to be thinking about. One, Ben, let me address your issue about what I said yesterday with the Daily Israeli Wire. I even said the Daily Jew.
Okay, so we are back talking about this Candace Owens, Patrick Bet-David, Ben Shapiro debacle. I'm adding Patrick Bet-David to it because Ben Shapiro felt some type of way about something that Patrick said, which was factual. Like or at least he made an assessment of what he's seeing going on, you know? So Ben felt some type of way about that. We're going to get to that, but there's a whole situation going on now where apparently Candace and Ben started to talk again and go back and forth about, you know, having a debate. Now, I want to be very clear why this is even a discussion, because there are a lot of things that I don't waste my time with, but this one for me, it is kind of important. More than kind of, it is very important. It's not necessarily the names that are involved in this situation. It's more the actual theme of the situation. And we'll take a look and see how Candace started off with talking to Ben Shapiro about having a debate and what the topic of the debate is about. Let's actually start off with that.
Candace, she's not afraid of nobody. She will say whatever the fuck she wants to say. She will debate any single person. She'll go out there and
okay, so anyway, that video was about, you know, glazing Candace a little bit or something. Okay. But it started off about the whole anti-Semitism thing, right? And Candace Owens, really, it didn't start off with Andrew Schultz. It started off back in around October 7th, or if you will, somewhere around, I don't know, November the 10th, where Candace finally came out and said that, you know, she's really not into kids being slaughtered. And it turned into a whole debacle. It's just a lot to get into, but it was just like one of those things where it kind of felt like if you weren't into Palestinians being slaughtered, then you were somehow immoral or you didn't care about Israel, right? And so I knew this was going to happen. This thing's been looming for a while. Now, Candace says, I would like to debate Ben Shapiro on Israel and the current definition of anti-Semitism. Can somebody make that happen, right? All right. So that's why this is important. Now, I want to be very clear, and I have to be very careful as well. We disavow violence. We disavow any kind of like unnecessary hate of a group where we're wishing bad things for people. We don't do that. That's very sick and it's lowbrow, right? But, you know, criticism of anything or assessment, pattern recognition does not equal hate. And it's just that simple, right? Because y'all know, so if anybody's watching this for the first time, like watching this channel for the first time, you will find out that I'm very real about a lot of things, especially when it comes to the Black community, right? Or the Black folk or whatever however you want to say it, right? I don't have a problem with being real. I don't. Or at least having a discussion about pattern recognition about Black folk, right? So I just feel like across the board, it should be the same for anybody. And so what we're having now is labels being thrown at people if they make an assessment or ask a question. Sure, Candace. I text you on Friday 29th offering this very thing. Let's do it on my show this Monday at 5 p.m. at our studio in Nashville, 90 minutes live stream. And so it's like, you know, obviously she's not going to have a problem with that. Excuse me. Obviously she is going to have a problem with that. I wouldn't blame her. Now, what he said about texting her on February 29th about this, they should have certainly did it back then. They should have did this months ago, but they didn't, right? So that's why I was just kind of like, you know, like, what are we doing? And really, when this happened, when I started noticing this was happening on Friday, it kind of gave me a feeling of, how do I say, like predictable theater? Yeah, it did give me that feeling. But we still need to have the discussion. Now, so then Candace says, I'm sure you can appreciate why I'd prefer to keep this off the Daily Wire platform, as well as the true reason why we were never able to make any discussion happen. Let's choose a neutral, trustworthy platform. I vote Patrick Bet-David. And so now, which is hilarious because then, of course, Candace, you know, I don't blame him. This is what he's going to say. You know, I'm a very balanced person. Candace, I can see why you'd want to hide behind a moderator. That was a bit much. particularly one who said we should rename our company the Daily Jewish Wire just yesterday. No one-on-one Monday at 5. We can sit down, have a healthy debate like adults. We'll live stream it on X and YouTube. Take it or leave it. As to your true reason, you didn't respond to my offer. You can discuss these issues publicly or privately back in February. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I didn't even know he said all that. Like, he really does not like her. Like, he doesn't like her. You know what kills me though? Candace was all up on them back in last year around this time when what's his name? Crowder? Yeah, when Steven Crowder was trying to call out the Daily Wire for I don't even know what. Really, because the problem is people are afraid to speak in reality. They're afraid to speak in reality. So still to now, I do not know really what Crowder was calling the Daily Wire about. Maybe it was something real. Maybe it was, but he never explained himself correctly to me. Now, anywho, so then, of course, I'm not hiding behind a moderator. I'm just choosing to bring eyes to the Daily Wire. I'm choosing, not to bring eyes to the Daily Wire. You are rather typically removing PBD's words from their proper context to make it seem as though he baselessly attacked you. Rather, he offered free advice. The Daily Wire would not take heed if they were open about their priorities, but I'll choose to be understanding. So then she prefers, she offers Charlie Kirk or Tim Cass, which I think both of those two are a waste of time. I will also throw Joe Rogan or your buddy Lex Friedman, another waste of time on Lex Friedman. Joe Rogan probably would be cool. Truly pick a moderator or agree to this live one-on-one via channel that the Daily Wire can't cash in on, but I'm fully in. Now, let's not do that, guys. Okay, so we're gonna be like, if you guys watch the last video, he said, he was like the Daily Jewish Wire, like, and another point that he was making, he made a clear point, but it's just funny. We're gonna get to that. We are, but it's like, let's not act like that didn't happen. So, anywho, it's like this going back and forth, right? So they go back and forth and everything, and then finally, she's still kind of texting about it all. Jeremy Boring comes back and says, a clear one-on-one. And then she's like, I'm in London. I can't appear in person. And basically saying that, that. Why are you acting like you didn't know? Because then he goes and says, like, I don't know. Okay, because, well, it was Sabbath. So Ben had to get offline on Friday when the sun went down. And that is a thing. That really is a thing. So, and then, I keep saying and then. And so Lex Friedman, who actually was Sabbath for him too, so I'm confused, but he was able to come back and say that he would join. I'm sorry for laughing because a lot of this is just, I feel like I keep on talking and not getting to the point, but we are going to get to the point. And before we do, guys, thank you for watching these videos. I just want to talk about real topics because the topic of anti-Semitism is going to come up and come into play here. And we need to talk about freedom of speech, regulations, things like that, so that's the part that makes it important. So if you like these videos that I'm making, please, again, don't forget to hit the like button, please subscribe. And, thank you for watching again. So now apparently they're going to do it. It seems like they're going to do it on Monday, without a moderator. And it seems to me like they're going to end up doing it with just like the whole streaming thing, which I think is actually corny. I do. I think that they should meet up with each other. I just think that it should be live. Well, let me see. We will not agree. Okay, there we go. Okay, you know what? Good. We will not agree to a virtual event or edit video live, in person, one-on-one. The rest of this is just noise. Okay, so they are going to do it live. So I think that's just much better. The whole thing about streaming, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right to me. Okay, fine. If they don't want a moderator, fine. No moderator. I think Joe Rogan would have been a good moderator, but you need somebody who's not afraid to speak. And let's just keep it real, but who can just still be balanced, right? I think I would have made a pretty good moderator. What do you guys think? Drop a comment below.
By saying I am so happy the two of you guys are talking, as well as agreeing to do a sit down. Obviously, the detail is the challenge where we're going to figure out. Let me give you a couple things I want you to be thinking about. One, Ben, let me address your issue about what I said yesterday with the Daily Israeli Wire. I even said the Daily Jewish Wire. If you haven't watched the entire context of what I said, I'm going to put the link below. You can go watch the entire thing on what I said from the beginning to the end. I highly recommend you watch it. Secondly, why I think you have to know where my perspective is slightly different is I understand where you're coming from, because I lived in Iran as a kid from the day I was born till 10 years old, where we were bombed 167 times in one day. 500,000 people died, and I was a Christian kid living in a nation where 98% were Muslim. We were afraid to talk about what we.
So this made me feel like PBD kind of cucked himself out a little. I just feel like Patrick was a bit, I don't know, y'all, beggy for, if that's like, I don't understand why he felt like he had to explain his whole past life. I mean, first, let's be very, very clear. Patrick Bet-David, I think that he has an amazing life story, and I think that he's very inspirational. And, you know, I do think highly of him. I just don't understand this speech here. This is what I don't understand. I mean, let me know again in the comments below. Is this speech necessary in order to moderate a, you know, a debate? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and there were Muslims everywhere. Like, okay, okay, well, you know, I mean, a lot of these moderate rebels are funded by America. This is what we've been doing for a long time. I mean, we did fund the Mujahideen, who turned into the Taliban. Like, so, like, this is our thing, okay? It's proxies out in the Middle East. It's just, that's our thing, bro. Like, but hey, whatever, okay? So then he goes on to talk about this even more.
We were all about. So I feel the pain of people living in Israel, and I fully feel the pain of some of the folks who are Christian folks, maybe living in Palestine, that don't agree with what's going on with Hamas. I understand both sides.
No, you don't understand both sides. And so now I have to critique this video. You don't really understand both sides. We're not going to get into an Israel-Hamas situation in this video, but there's a faction of this that PBD will not say, and nobody will say it. You know, so maybe then I should say it, right? Because that's what I want to do, to be able to talk about everything. Like, you don't have to agree with everything I say, but there is a group of people in Palestine who are going along with Hamas. I mean, they just are. Now, October 7th, for what we know about it, we do condemn, you know, the kidnapping of civilians. We don't like civilians to get involved with things, and the death of civilians. I'm trying not to go too far and derail, but when you really pay attention to the whole history of Palestine and what's going on in Palestine, it should have never been one of those left-right issues where the right refuses to talk about Palestine a certain way because they think they'll be looked at as a leftist. This is what I mean about this country too, by the way, where they have us so divided, we're afraid to talk about things or have our own thoughts or assess facts in reality, and then talk about the realistic facts that we found, because we don't want to, I don't know, disturb the base, make the base upset. And it's like, no, this is your job to talk to the base, right? If you have a huge platform, I think it's actually your responsibility to give factual information about affairs, period, right? Because now this is why I say this is important. When you talk about, again, they're going to talk about the real definition of anti-Semitism. I hope they get into the hate speech laws that are being written all across America. You have a huge platform. I'm not saying every day you need to get on the mic and start talking about laws that are coming out and everything. We know that the public gets bored with these kind of things. We know that, right? We need a little bit of salaciousness in there, but throw in a couple, you know, informative facts or something that the people should know. Throw some stuff in there. If you call yourself independent, so it's just a big ball. It's unraveling a big ball of fraudulent behavior. I don't know, man. I mean, I could go on forever. Even we are starting to see a lot of the reality of who people really are. That's how I feel. And it's not that I'm disappointed with what I'm seeing. It's just that now I'm, you know, maybe 2 years ago I would have been disappointed. Now I'm just kind of like, I'm not shocked, and I'm just here to get the best out of it that I can and share it with you guys.